G'day viewers, I am Train Simulator Driver. I'm a real-life engineman on a heritage railway, and I fire steam engines and occasionally get to drive them when my driver's being nice to me. We're here for the Railway 200. Now, chances are, if you've ever followed a tutorial link from the Train Sim World help site, you've probably come across my work, and hopefully it's helped you. I've got literally hundreds of tutorials on lots and lots of train simulation games, and even some truck ones and trams and things like that as well. Oh, and buses as well. I specialised in a channel that supports the community, and in turn, it to some extent supports me, which is really cool. Now we're here for the Railway 200, that massive achievement of 200 years of passenger operations from 200 years ago when it first started on the Stockton and Starlington. Did I just say Stockton and Starlington? I did, didn't I? The Stockton and Darlington. Okay. Did I mention I'm also a bit of an idiot? No. Right. We are going to be on the Riviera, and we're going to be doing something just a little bit different, okay? We are running in the timetable, and we're going to go to Totness to start with, and let's make this nice and early in the morning so we've got time to do this. So 7 a.m. looks pretty good. Custom weather, because I have an idea, because Jamie said, hey, can you do something for the Railway 200? And I thought, I have an idea. Now, I wasn't quite sure that this was all going to work. I've done a little bit of pre-work on this. So, could I move around? Yep, I can. Good. We're about to be naughty. No one's coming. Good. Because we have to run up the track. Sorry, health and safety people, but I got to do it. Because we're going to another railway. You'll see in a moment where we're going. And basically we're going to run a rail tour to get to this railway, but I have to stock the thing first. You'll see in a moment where we are. I'm trying to be safe and staying in the weeds, but I'm going to have to pop up on this bridge, which is a bit dangerous. So let's just have a quick look behind us, because there is a yellow signal there. So that suggests there's a train's just been through. So we should be safe. I'd love it if there was a walking path from Totness station down here. That would be awesome, especially since that bridge is already there. It would be pretty easy. Please. Because where are we headed? We're headed over here. We're going to be back here later today, and we're going to come back here in a train. But we need to set up the gala. You heard me. We're setting up a Steam Gala. And of course, we're the only ones here, so that's fine. Now, where are we? Well, this is the South Devon Railway. G'day, mates. We're just going to set the gala up. I hope you don't mind. I think this looks like a good spot for a Flying Scotsman. Yes, a Flying Scotsman by itself, because nothing else will fit. So put a Flying Scotsman there, and we have to be careful to stay inside this signal. So over here, we're going to put up a Crimson Jubilee. And this comes from West Coast Main Line. West Coast Main Line? No, sorry. West Coast Local. Sorry. I got that wrong. 3 coaches empty. That'll do. That'll fit. Good. Okay. Now we've got the Jubilee. And we're going to go over here. We're going to leave this part of the platform empty, and you'll see why a little bit later on. So we'll just come up here and whip around this side, because over here I think we need, what's a Steam Gala without Thomas the Tank Engine? And we want Thomas and Annie and Clarabelle, of course. Let's just go in a little bit further so the kiddies don't fall off when they're looking at Thomas. Righto, there's Thomas. And over here, and is there a signal here I have to worry about? No, good. I'll come in as close as I can anyway, and I think over here we need a goods train, because you should always have a goods train at a gala. I actually went to my very, very first gala recently. What have we got? Something short, something short. 4F and planks. That might fit. There we go. Fits. Woohoo! Okay, our gala is complete. Right. So now what we need to do is go back to the map to continue the plan. Now, I think we might come from... We want to keep this manageable time-wise. So I think we might just do is come up here. Up to Plymouth. Yes, I want to fast travel to Plymouth Station. Fantastic. And I'm hoping to squeeze a train in edgewise up here at Plymouth Station, because we're spawning and lots of other stuff spawning. Now, I've just got to check which way are we actually facing. So we're facing... we are facing out. Very good. So if I spawn a train over here, we should actually be able to get out of here, which is good. So I'm going to try and spawn a train on platform 7 here. Now, I haven't actually experimented very much with this, so this might not work. But it might. So I think what we need is a GWR class 150/2. And we're going to have 2 coaches. I can only have 2. And we're going to be loaded so that we've actually got some passengers. There we are. Lovely little 150. This is a brand new 150 for Train Sim World 6. Does have some elements of the old model in it, but the sounds and physics and everything have been fixed up and made cool. All right, first thing to do, we're just going to turn on some safety systems. We'll turn on DSD and TPWS AWS. All right, and let's shut this door here. Pop the seat down. Must have been a boy here before if the seat's up. And let's get our train set up. So, master key. And even though we won't be scheduled to, we are going to stop at stations. Just go into neutral and do that. And put on some instrument lights and some headlights. We want, going to go a long way around, of course, day headlights. Now, I don't think we can set the destination display on this, so we'll see what it does. And I'm curious as to what the announcement system might do as well. I guess we'll find out. Let's just go down to brake 1. And we're still in neutral. Good. So we can go into forwards now. And the brakes are releasing. Brilliant. All right, let's have a quick check down the back of the train. Just see that we've got tail lights on. I think we will. Yes, we do. Brilliant. Okay. Now comes the difficult bit. Let's see if this works. Because what I need to do is I need to set a path from here all the way through Totness and the Steam Railway. Now, I can't set it right into the Steam Railway as a first go. I know that because I've played with that bit, but I figured out a workaround. It's this one. Ivy Bridge. We're nearly there. It's going to be a bit of a run. What's that? Zoom in, it'd be a whole lot easier. Yes, it would. Don't listen to the voices in my head, folks. Right, what's this one? Totness. Right, we're here. This is the gala we set up earlier. Now, I should, I think, be able to set a path to this signal. Beautiful. Okay, we just need to acknowledge that. And we can go, but we're going to pretend to load passengers, and I just hope they don't all get off. Because, you know, sometimes they do silly things, Train Sim World passengers, because they're a bit like that. Well, no one's getting off, so that's good. All right, let's get the door shut. Because we're going to stop at stations, because why wouldn't you? Okay, lovely. We are ready to go. Bit of horn action, power off, power on, brakes off I should say. I think we're all set up okay. Oh, this is an English summer, isn't it? Better get some cooling on it, might be 12 degrees Celsius. Might have a window open ourselves, because that will be nice. Now, we do have a green signal in front of us, because we've somehow managed to beat that, that unfortunate 802 service to get out of here, because it's due out, I think. And we're going to be in its way. Our lowly little 150. Look at that lovely, lovely smoke. Now, the cool thing about this is I've actually taken the day off work to make this for you, so I'm quite enjoying myself at the moment. Do you like the air noises on the suspension? It's pretty cool. We're climbing up a fairly steep gradient, and of course the poor little 150 is not the most powerful beast on the planet, so got to give it a bit of oomph. It is accelerating though, which is good. Coming up to the man-made Tunnel of Love with what looks like a prison on top of it, but I'm sure it's just a car park or something unexciting. But we can pretend it's something more exciting like a prison we're going under, can't we? Maybe it's a mental asylum. Wouldn't that be cool? That's kind of where I belong. Now, while we do this drive, and I keep an eye out for stations, I think it's a little while till we see one. And I'll try and keep an eye on speed limits and things. We are allowed to speed up now. I do want to talk to you about volunteering on heritage railways. Now, I volunteer on a railway in Melbourne called the Puffing Billy Railway. And I think I've mentioned earlier in this video, and I certainly have in others, that I'm what's called a steam locomotive fireman. And my job is to get there ridiculously early in the morning before the birds are awake. And I light the engine, and we slowly bring her up. Our way is a little bit different to the UK way, I have to say. We start with a bed of wood, and we pretty much fill the firebox. And we burn that until we've got about 100 pounds of steam, and that might require some additional wood. If we're in a hurry, and we try to never be in a hurry, we can switch over to coal anytime after we've got about 20 to 30 pounds of steam on the clock. So we try not to be in a hurry, because we like to warm the boilers up very slowly. It takes about 3 hours to get the locomotive ready, and then we get it over onto the pit, finish the underneath greasing with eccentrics and things like that, the stuff you can't get to when you're just rolling along. And we'll do the blowdown and other exciting things to clear the boiler of any crud, and then take the train off shed out to the train ready point, or TR point, where a guard or a signalman, depending on the day, will put us onto our train. Now, that train might be in the top yard, which is on a 1 in 30 gradient, so we'll have to go and get it, or it might be sitting in the platform. It depends what train you're running, because we leave one train in the platform overnight. Usually my trains, I tend to do ones that are up in the yard, so I'll have to get ready and make sure there's plenty of water to get up there. Because in a steam engine, the most important thing is water. That might sound strange. You might think the most important thing was steam. But no, steam is a useful thing. The driver wants steam. The driver wants steam to run the engine and to run the air compressor and things like that. But the most important thing is water, because if you don't have water, your boiler will do something really unfortunate. It'll explode. That's unfortunate. Definitely unfortunate. Sometimes you'll hear people go, oh, but the fusible plugs will pop and let the pressure out. No, they're just an indicator. They just basically whistle and throw steam at you and ash, just to let you know that you're very low on water. Now, ironically, we're going 18 miles, because that is the length of my railway. So we run from Belgrave in the Dandenong Ranges, east of Melbourne, all the way out to Gembrook. Our entire line is full of 1 in 30 gradients. We have a 2 mile long 1 in 30 gradient, and we have a 6 mile long 1 in 30 gradient on the way to Gembrook, and it's pretty similar on the way back. It's not quite 1 in 30 on the way back, but it's quite similar, and it's a similar sort of length as well. It's a difficult one as a fireman, because narrow gauge, we run Baldwin 262 Prairies and a South African NGG16 Garrett. And we have a Victorian Railways Garrett as well, but that one's hiding in the museum currently because it needs an overhaul. We've got lots of different trains in our museum, and I go and play up there sometimes as well. There's a stationary boiler up there that I play with from time to time and fire up, run the machinery. So it's a lot of very, very hard work being a steam locomotive fireman. Firing is a very physically demanding job, and I'm not young, okay? I'm not ridiculously old, but I'm not young, so I feel it when I fire, but you do condition to it. I think in the early days when I was doing my training, one of the trainers said to me something along the lines of, "You're a bit like a racehorse. Right now you're soft and flabby, but the more you do this, the more you'll condition and the more you'll get used to it." And he's certainly right. So I try and fire at least 2 days a month, and that actually does keep you in quite good physical condition. Doesn't help the beer gut, but you know, you can't see that because only video from here up. Might be deliberate. But anyway, it does help with things like your arms and your back, and you develop an awesome core strength. We're going a bit slow, aren't we? We should power up. Now, why would you go and do this really, really difficult job? It's a 12-hour shift. Most of our firing shifts are 12 hours, from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. generally, or near enough. Why would you do it? Well, it's incredibly rewarding because you'll carry, on our trains, we carry about 400 odd passengers on each train. And just to see all those smiling faces when you get to the destination station, whether that be our intermediate station Lakeside, where we often swap passengers out there, or the final destination Gembrook. And you just see all these people hop off the train and they're just grateful because you've run a successful trip for them. And whether it's a truly successful day in the locomotive or not, the crew always ensure that the passengers don't actually know. So most days I sit on the red line quite happily, but there is the odd day where you have a bad experience. This poor little thing is really struggling to get up this hill, isn't it? There's our DSD, or Vigilance. Whee! Tree Sim World, everyone. As we go through the lovely countryside here. And it's just, whether you have a good day or a bad day, it's always a fun day. And the crews always work together. You're a very strong team. And you must be a team with your driver because your driver's going to use the steam that you produce. And it's important that your driver keeps an eye on you. And as I'm starting to learn to drive, it's important that I keep an eye on my firemen because I can't use steam they're not making because you just make their life hell. So you need to keep an eye on them and you need to keep an eye on your train and everything else. It's an incredibly brain-challenging experience as well as being a muscle-challenge experience because firing is not actually easy. Now, you'll cop a lot of people in the simulators and they'll go, "Oh, firing's pretty easy, just chuck a coal in." Well, no. If you ever get a chance, Google a story from the LMS called Little and Often and watch that video. That's actually a pretty good idea of what firing's about. It's the by numbers version. And you can fire by numbers. And what do I mean by that? You divide your firebox into 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So you've got a 9 by 9 square effectively. And on a small firebox, like a narrow gauge locomotive, you'll put 1 or 2 shovels into each square, but you tend on ours like a bank. So you might put 1 in each square in the front, and then 2 or 3 in each square in the middle, and then 5 or 6 in each square in the back. That works to a point, but you will come unstuck because if you don't understand what's going on any given day, some days it'll just do something weird and you'll have no steam at all. And of course, you want steam, lots of it. Gee, I feel sorry for that 802 that's behind us. Because we're doing 35 miles an hour up this hill. But that's okay. The hill will be over soon enough. And once you get you through your shift on the railway, and you've spent the day with your driver, and I've actually had passengers say, you know, you and the driver are like an old married couple. And you kind of are. You know each other really well, and you know what each other does really well, and you know how each other acts really well, and you spend most of your day staring at opposite sides of the cab. Just like an old married couple don't talk to each other. And that's because talking in the steam cab is actually next to impossible. It's so loud. It's a cacophony of sound in the steam cab. It is unbelievably loud. So you keep communication to the absolute minimum. You call out that you're okay for hills, and you call out signals, and you call out anything that the driver needs to know, because of course you're the driver's eyes on left-hand corners if they're driving on the right side of the locomotive like they do on ours. If the driver's on the left side of the locomotive, you're their eyes on the right side because they can't see to pass the boiler. So you need to watch out. So it's quite a responsibility too, whether you're firing or driving, it's a huge responsibility. One of the things that I find with driving a locomotive, now that I've started doing that more often, everything happens at once. So you're not dealing with one thing at a time, you're dealing with 10 things all at once. So you're checking your steam, you're checking signals, you're checking level crossings, you're checking out in front of the locomotive, you're making sure your brakes are okay. Oh, lapped brakes, that's something else in real life too. It's not quite like what happens in the simulator. They're quite a thing to get used to. So it's a huge challenge. And the simulators go away towards giving you an idea of what driving a locomotive is like. But you're sitting down, you're sitting in what's probably a nice comfy chair in your house with a monitor in front of you. You might be using a controller, PlayStation or Xbox. You might be using a rail driver, you might be using a TS Controls setup, you might be using the TSCX controller from Sim Workshop. I've got a rail driver and the TSCX controller. I've also got Stream Decks populated with various buttons to help play the game and make it a bit easier. So I have a lot of fun with that. But it's not like a real locomotive. For a start, my hands are clean. So you can tell I haven't been on a loco for a week because that's how long it takes for the carbon to come off. So that's fun. Ooh, I think we're going to get a gratuitous viaduct shot. Whee! Did I mention I'm an idiot? Yes. Good. That's quite a nice little viaduct shot. I think we might just photo mode this while we're here. Why not? Why not show off some other features? So let's bring our focal point onto the train. Let's reduce the background and let's just refocus the train again. There we go. Nice. Field of view is fine. Motion blur is off. Good. I think we might just bring that down just a little bit. Just darken it a little bit. I think it needs a bit more color. And let's pop just a touch of vignette up into the corners. Just a touch to darken the corners and highlight the train. And I think that'll do quite nicely, actually. So that should be quite good. So I think we should take that photo now. Let's take our screenshot. There we go. Now I'm not actually going to upload this because I'm recording this before Train Sim World came out. And I don't want anybody to know that. So I'll upload that one day. That'll be fine. Yes, I've got it a little bit early. This is early access. I should have said that at the start, actually. This might be a little bit different to what goes live. It's probably pretty close, but it might be just a hair different here and there. So if you see something that's a bit weird, that's probably why. If you didn't know, the ambassadors get content a little bit earlier than the other players because we make tutorials and we make run-throughs, and people like Neil makes his collectibles videos, and people run through the scenarios and playthroughs and introductions and all sorts of stuff. And we're lucky enough that DTG give us the content just a little bit early, and we're also allowed to go live just a little bit early usually as well. This time around with Train Sim World 6, we actually go live right at the moment that you guys get to download it for early access. So we have the advantage of a few days to make content, because this is a few days before that. I won't mention the exact date, but it's a few days before that. And yes, good fun. So we're continuing along on a little rail tour through the countryside. We shouldn't be too far from a station stop, I guess. It's got, is it Ivy Bridge, I think it's called. As we roll along through here. But I definitely encourage people, so especially the UK viewers. In the UK, I did say to, heyo. No, I didn't say heyo. But I did say to quite a few people when I was visiting Heritage Railways, I spent a weekend with Jamie Ringwood from DTG, for example, on the North Norfolk, and that was brilliant. That was actually my first Steam Gala ever, because Australian railways don't do galas, because most of our railways are disconnected from each other. So we can't really share locomotives and have visitors and stuff like that terribly easily. They have to come on trucks, which is very expensive. Insurance is a nightmare. But so I just said to Jamie, and I said, you know, if you take a step back while you're taking a photo on a heritage railway in the UK, you'll often come across another one. Another viaduct. Viaduct magic. I personally prefer a bridge to a viaduct, but I don't mind a good viaduct. Now, even though this is not telling me to stop at the station, I'm going to. We'll go into notch 2 and then back to 1. Why do you go into 2 first? Well, if you've got any leaves or anything on the wheels, the first time you brake, that will clean them off, and that will make your braking more effective. So we'll just roll our way into the station now. 30 miles an hour is a really good speed to hit a station at. I probably slowed down a little bit early, but I'm still getting used to this route because I don't think I've actually driven it end to end yet. This is my first time on this side of it. I've done the other side. This is my first time over here. We'll do a quick stop here and see if any passengers want to get on or off. I'd be a little bit surprised, but you never know. Ooh, I just saw a collectible. Do you think these people will get on? I really have my doubts. And we don't get announcements in free roam. Good morning, folks. This is our train to Totness and the South Devon Railway. Doesn't look like anybody wants to get on and off. I'm not very surprised because they don't know this train's running and people don't tend to get on and off in free roam. Now we are on a hill, so I'm going to power up first. Then I'm going to release the brakes. And that should stop us rolling back. There we go. Lovely. Let's watch this depart. Greta would be proud of that. Lovely. As our little beast struggles its way up the hill. Oh, well, I've got this. This is from Yosemite. Did a little bit of volunteering at Yosemite. I camped out there for a little while, and in return for camping out, I did some cleanup. So there's lots of ways you can volunteer in society to give back for things that you have. So I'm fortunate enough, for example, to have a good job that pays pretty well, and that allows me, while looking after my family, to also spend time on volunteer activities like the railway. I've been on Puffing Billy as a volunteer since 1982, which is, wow, 43 years. It's 43 years. I've been on locomotives. I've been on trains since about 2008, working as a guard and a signalman. I've been on diesel locomotives since, I'm going to say, sometime in the 2010s. I can't actually remember exactly when I started that. And a few years ago, maybe about 2 are training. 4 years ago. 4 years ago, I said, hey, how do I, because I was a fireman on diesels, which is not much of a job. You just sort of sit there staring out the window, pushing a button every now and again that says your driver's awake. And I said, how do I get on the other side? And they went, well, you need to learn steam firing. And I'd tried steam firing a long time ago, and frankly, I wasn't good at it because it is actually hard, and I didn't have the right mindset when I tried that. And then later on, I decided I'll have another crack. So, you know, this came up. So about 4 years ago, I started training. It took me about 2 years to learn the craft. I think it was about 18 months all up, something along those lines, before I was ready to do my assessment. So there were classes, like actual formal classroom classes, and you can get a proper qualification out of it if you like. In Australia, it's actually aligned with the tertiary education system, so you can get real qualifications if you go and do that part of the assessment. And you can also, at least here, you can also do the ATHRA bookwork and the ATHRA assessment, which will let you operate in any railway. I only operate on mine. I've one's enough. Ask my wife. One's enough. She'd be very unhappy if I went to another one. So I don't, because, you know, happy wife, happy life. She puts up with one, as long as I do the other stuff that she wants done. Like I've just been doing a kitchen reno this weekend, doing some work in there, so quite a bit of effort going into that. But it's a lot of fun getting on the railway, and it did take me almost 2 years to learn the craft. And I would say every single day I fire, it's still a learning experience. Every day that the driver says, hey, would you like to step into my side of the office for this trip, is a massive learning experience, because driving, so much more responsibility than firing. Firing, you can just kill everybody because your boiler explodes. And I'm not kidding about that, because if it goes, it'll probably take everybody out within about a 500-meter radius. So it's a big responsibility. And driving is also a huge responsibility, because you have the lives of all of those people directly in your hands. Whether that's people ahead of you, maybe someone's driving across a level crossing when they shouldn't, or it's the people in the train behind you, and it could be a combination. So it is a really big responsibility, and it's no less of a job than operating on a mainline railway. So a lot of people think volunteering might be playing trains, but it's very much not. I sometimes say it is to annoy one of our lead drivers, but, you know, that's just me being fun. He knows me well. He knows I take it very, very seriously. And he knows that I look after my responsibilities and do what I'm supposed to do, and I stay within our rules. We're about 2,000 rules that you need to be familiar with. You don't need to know them exactly, but you need to be familiar with them so you can operate. And you need to know exactly the ones that are governing your day-to-day, everyday things, and you need to know where to find all of the others for the non-everyday things. So if something goes wrong, for example, and you need a relief, you need another locomotive to come and get you because something happened to your engine, which does happen, you need to know where to find all the rules for that and what to do. Ooh, did I see high-resolution cows? Oh, high-resolution cows. Moo. Very happy to see high-resolution cows. I'd love it if they walked around like the ones on Mitten World Barn do. Even though you occasionally got to make hamburger because they ran out in front of you. Still fun. So if you have the opportunity to volunteer on a heritage railway, and they are everywhere in England, they're a little more sparse in Australia. They are similarly sparse in the US, and Germany has quite a few, Switzerland has some, Italy has some. Most countries probably do have them. I'm not familiar with a lot of the others, but there are some that I know of. Definitely go and do it. Now, there's a thing called the railway family. And the railway family basically means that you as a volunteer on the railway, you become part of a giant family that's part of that railway. But it's also part of every other railway. And something that I've found as I tour, whether it be other Australian railways that I visit, or when I go overseas to the last couple of years, I've done a lot of UK heritage railways, even the mainline railways. You start talking to a driver or a guard or whatever, and they instantly know you're part of the railway family. And that gets you an in, it gets you a ticket to ride, if you like. And that's open doors. So as an example, the Tallaght Railway in Wales, it's twinned with my railway. and we accept each other's qualifications to a point. So I was able to go there and fire on their trains. I did a supervised run, and then after proving that knew what I was doing and I could handle little engines, they basically didn't watch me on the next run. They just let me go to it, which was good fun. I was still supervised, and the same happens on our railway. If they come to us, they'll still be supervised, because you have to, because someone qualified from the railway has to be there. And we into the big dark tunnel. This one's quite nicely baked so far, actually. Some of the tunnels are just a little bit of a disaster in the game, I have to say, but this one actually looks quite nice. I think it's my first time through this tunnel, so excellent. You can see the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train, so we're actually going to come out in one piece, which is fantastic. We've only got 5 miles to where we're headed to now. We'll have a little bit of mucking around when we actually get there, because we're taking this right in, but there's a little bit of a workaround you need to do to make that happen. Tree sim world, yay! You ever notice that? Doesn't matter when you do that. Let's try that again. Tree. Let's try again. Oh, hey, we're not in a tree. And I've driven 72 miles. I don't know why that's significant for the Class 150, but there you go. That's okay. We're not a long way out of Totness now, which will be another station that we stop at. I explored at Totness earlier, and that's where we started, because there isn't a spawn point for the South Devon Railway, so you have to spawn at Totness and run down the tracks, which is naughty, of course. Please, can we have a walking path from Totness Station down to South Devon Station, please? And do the same thing at the other end of the Peyton branch, please. It'd be really good. The other thing I'd love is a future extension to this route. And maybe it would fall to a third party to knock it together, or a community member or a modder. Make the steam railways work. That would be awesome. Because a lot of the track's actually there for South Devon. It doesn't go the full 8 miles, but there's actually quite a bit of it there, and it just needs to be scenicked. Some of it's even signalled already. Although good luck taking Flying Scotsman round through the points there, because it's a little tight. A little tight for an engine that big. It's made for little engines. Looks like we're coming into some civilization. That's one of the things I found quite remarkable about the UK, actually, is the living's incredibly dense in the cities, but 10 minutes out of a city you find cows. So, it's not really like that in Melbourne. We have the giant urban sprawl, so our city spreads across about 125 kilometres of distance from one side to the other. It's massive. And that's mostly built up. Because, you know, Aussies love their quarter acre of land. Nice looking bridge. I know there's a lot of custom assets on this road. This is quite a steep hill. I suppose what goes up must come down. So with heritage railways everywhere, and heritage tramways, or heritage busways too, if that's your thing, because they exist as well. Or trucks. Farm machinery, tractors, steam traction engines. I can guarantee you that there will be a society or a club or an operating railway or something along those lines a reasonable travel distance from you. And I really encourage you to go and join in. Now, that thing I said about the railway family, When you are already a member of that family, it's a ticket to get in. But there's an unfortunate side of the railway family as well, in that in some places it tends to be a little bit of a clique. So it can be a little bit challenging to get in. But most of the time, if you're an enthusiastic, interested person who's willing to get your hands dirty, you're willing to do your share of the work, you'll be fine. So we sometimes get people who turn up to be an engine cleaner, which is your first job on the shed. And it's not as horrible as it sounds. You're not just cleaning an engine. You're not cleaning a building. You're actually looking after the engine, and you start to work on lubrication and greasing, and you start to get your understanding by putting your hands on all the parts of the engine. Got an AWS coming up, because we are approaching Totness. Now, I hope it takes me through the left-hand track, actually. I didn't set a go via on that. Maybe I should. So let me just check what we are going through. Are we going through the platform? No, we're not. Okay, let's just stop here, because I want to stop at Totness. So I'm just going to stop here before we get into the station. And while that's happening, I want to, before we get to this signal, I want to add a go via, which is in this platform here. Totness platform 2, that's what we want. Come on, do it. Confirm. Okay, good. Off we go again. So we're having a bit of free roam fun here, basically. But yeah, we have people sometimes that turn up in the shed and maybe wipe down a square foot of a locomotive with a rag, and then they spend the next 3 hours on their phone taking pictures of the locomotives and sharing them on socials. While that's fun, and I take pictures of locomotives and make videos and share them on socials as well, I'm very careful to make sure that my work is done. And that I'm not going to let anybody down, because that's really, really important, to make sure that your work is done. Alright, people of Totness, your little shuttle service off to the South Devon Railway is now arriving on platform 2. Alright, I think this is as good a stopping point as any. Now we've got the shunt signal up there, I see. We'll stop here and let anybody out that wants to get in or out before we head off to the Steam Railway, because maybe some of these people want to go to the Steam Railway. I'm being funny, of course. I had a horrible thought that I opened the wrong side then, but no, I didn't. So we'll head off to the Steam Railway in a moment. I haven't actually been keeping an eye on the time. 43 minutes, that's fine. That's a good time for a video. Those little cannons down there are quite cool. They're a collectible. All right, let's shut the doors, because clearly no one's interested. And that's okay. So, yes, be interested, be on your socials, whatever, but make sure you're taking part as well and putting in your fair share of the work for the day. And you will quickly be accepted into the railway family. But if you go there and you think you're going to have a really easy day, then it's probably not the thing for you, because what they really want to see is enthusiasm and interest. And the best way to describe enthusiasm and interest when you're first starting out is to make sure you are showing people that you're looking after yourself from a safety perspective, and that you're doing all the work. And if you're constantly on your phone in the shed, you aren't looking after yourself from a safety perspective, because you have a much lower awareness of what's going on around you, which frankly will get you killed. So railways are dangerous places. They're very dangerous places. Even the heritage railways are just as dangerous. They're slower, but they're just as dangerous. And that's a really critical thing to know. Let's pop out here and pop down onto this ride. So we've got this lovely footbridge here. How cool would it be? Oops, up in the air. How cool would it be to have a walking path from Totness Station across this footbridge into the South Devon Station, which is where we're headed now. I'm just going to come off the juice because I am actually going a little bit fast. It's 10 mile an hour into here. We have arrived at the Steam Gala, and we're going to run up to this signal, and then we'll work our way in, just carefully. Because you can't actually set a destination beyond this signal until you're here. Once you're here, you can. And from an operating perspective for a railway, that does make sense to me. Just stop where we can actually see the signal. Yep, we've completed our objectives. Now we pop back out onto the map again, and we'll set a new path. And I want to go down to the bridge, which is about there. It'll be close enough anyway. There's our signal coming off. Oops, wrong way. Wrong way! So we'll make our way slowly into the railway. Because, you know, it's Heritage Railway. Has to be slow. It's just how it is. You can see their Flying Scotsman and the Crimson Jubilee looking resplendent. Which Jubilee is it? I didn't actually look. Cola Hapur. Okay. Just watch out we don't squash any pedestrians. But, you know, that would be slightly embarrassing at this point. Should roll our way in. Now we have to get far enough to clear the second set of points, so I took a bit of a guess when I set that destination objective, and I'm hoping it's pretty close to the bridge, because I don't want to go past the bridge. The only reason I don't want to go past the bridge is the scenery starts to run out, and because this isn't somewhere where you're meant to go. It's just an added bonus, if you like, that you can actually do this if you try hard enough. That should achieve the objective. Good. Okay, now we'll go back out. Oops, back out into the map again, and we will click on the front of our train and set path. And we want to come back into the station in front of Scotty, so we'll set our destination just in front of Scotty, and it is going to let me do that. Fantastic. Now I'm not going to change ends. There's a reason for that. We're actually outside the playable area right now, and if I try and change ends, I'll just get stuck in the middle of the cabin. I should have put it in reverse before I did that. Because the playable area ends somewhere around that first set of points. And there's an invisible wall right about there, because it pushed me upwards on the camera. It's Thomas. Just work our way back in here nice and slowly, because we are running into an occupied road, and then we can open our doors and the passengers can enjoy the gala, and we can wander around and have a little bit of a look ourselves at the locomotives. So if you think about this, we've got 4 engines in steam here. That's collectively, just to get them in steam, was about 12 hours work. And then to get them here from wherever they came from, just assume it's another hour, because this is an 8 mile long railway. And it doesn't look like there's any facilities here. So just setting this up has been essentially a couple of man days of work. Now, are we in through the signal yet? Because that'll be enough. Once we're through the signal, we don't have to go all the way back. Just want to make sure that we are actually safely on the platform at this end. Oh, we can go back a tiny bit more. Normally, if you were doing this, you'd have a shunter in the back, either giving you radio calls or through the intercom or hand signals or whatever. All right. Okay, let's get the doors open. And let's just shut this down because we're going to be here for the rest of the day. Actually, maybe we'll leave it open, let people look in. Nah. Just shut the little door. You guys can get off now. They don't really know where we are. So we can wander over here and jump into Thomas. Not going to go anywhere, but we can. Where is Thomas's whistle? Oh, Thomas has got a shovel now. I don't think Thomas has had a shovel before. I wonder when we got that. Where is Thomas's whistle? Yeah, well, I was going to blow his whistle, but I can't see it. All right. We'll step down off this one. Step onto this one. This is the Fowler. Fun little locomotive from Peak Forest. This one does a lot of banking duties and things. It's actually quite a cool loco. Just shut those doors if I can. Sorry, there we go. Back onto Thomas. We can wander down and have a look at Scotty. We can look at... Hey folks. Ready for a run with Thomas on the South Devon Railway? Clearly you are. G'day, lads. Never like to see the bright orange on a heritage railway. And of course we've got Flying Scotsman here, which is set up as a nice modern machine. I've done that bit in real life because I've had a cab ride in this thing sitting over here in the fireman's seat. Let's go and have a look at the Jubilee. Normally, of course, you wouldn't be allowed down off the platforms, but being a trained person, we can. We have a happy little Jubilee here. This thing was originally out on Spirit of Steam. This particular one came out on West Coast Local in the Steam Rail Tour pack with a couple of other examples. There's a green one and a black one, and there's a festive version as well with Christmas lights and stuff on it. Little lamps and things. Let's try and get that door. There we go. So just have a look at our little machines over here, and Tree Sim World. Okay, we've got lost in the bush. I'm an Aussie, so I suppose getting lost in the bush is pretty normal. I think that's about it for this video. I'm just checking the time. We're on the 54-minute mark, which is just about perfect for what we want. So I am Train Simulator Driver. I run a YouTube channel of this name, so youtube.com/Train Simulator Driver, all one word. I also have a Discord server, and I've got quite a strong community. You are welcome to bring suggestions, criticisms, or whatever of the games that we play, as long as you're constructive about it. It's the only thing I ask. I do run a positive channel. I run a relatively family-friendly channel, although some moments escape from time to time. So, yeah, enjoy yourselves. Hope to see you over there. And enjoy, have fun. I hope you're enjoying Train Sim World 6, because by the time you're watching this, it should be out. So I hope you're having as much fun with it as I am. I think release quality-wise, even though I've got an early access build and I've run into the occasional little niggle and a couple of the trains, everything's actually been really good this time. So I'm pretty happy with where we are. I particularly like this 150, and I got to ride one when I was in the UK. I made a point of it at York to do that. Alrighty, have fun, folks. It might seem weird that I wanted to ride a 150, but I've had this need, and I just did it. So I did. But anyway, Train Simulator driver, naturally, you know, I have cats. Lots of cats, including animated ones. And I shall see you around. Enjoy the rest of the Railway 200 program. I hope you're enjoying Train Sim World 6. If you do need any help with Train Sim World 6, or you've got any issues you'd like to talk about, feel free to pop over to my channel or my Discord, and I will help you out. I'll have lots of tutorials up by the time you're watching this, I think. I think it's coming out on that date, but hopefully I do by now. Yes, should have. And you're welcome to ask questions, and I'll help where I can. So have fun, enjoy yourselves, and we shall see you later. Bye now.
We played a game.